Welcome to LoveBytes, the show where we debug romance. Now, I am not a doctor. I am not a psychiatrist.
I am not a patient.
I don't have a degree in sociology or psychology, but what I do have is wealth of experience and a sincere desire to help you. Because sometimes love can get messy. Sometimes, if you're not careful, love bites. Welcome to LoveBytes, everybody. How are you all doing today? Hello. This is our lovely guest, Anna Prosser. Anna, who are you?
I'm just a girl, Neil. I'm just a girl in the world. I guess you could call me an esports media personality. I do a lot of work in esports. That's how I met Neil, and he and I are currently cast members of a D&D show called Misclick's D&D Pirate Edition. So that's fun. I notably work for Team Evil Geniuses, which is a multi-divisional esports gaming team and media agency, and then I do a lot of on-camera and on-stage work within esports and outside it as well.
Good. What are your qualifications for this show? Do you have like a medical degree or a degree in psychology? Are you a therapist?
No, none of those things. I did manage to get married.
Okay.
So there's that.
Good.
And I do have dual degrees in international studies and speech communication. So anything communication based, I may be able to argue I'm a little bit qualified for, but you know.
Excellent. Excellent. So let's hop into our first question right now. Our first question is, so I have a great girlfriend, and for the first few months, everything was great. But now I feel like I'm putting more effort into the relationship than she is. I try to get dates, get us to hang out, spend time together, but she won't even respond to my texts about dates, or she'll blow me off. Am I worrying too much, or is she not taking this very seriously?
I think the better question to ask yourself is, are you getting what you want out of the relationship? Because let's say that maybe she is fine with it and she's just not someone who responds to texts or doesn't set dates, or, you know, maybe she's just kind of not a very togetherness type of person. Is that going to work for you? I mean, could you live with that? Are you okay with it if she's still into it? You know, because I've been in relationships like that where I was with somebody I really liked, but it just became clear that like I needed more of their time and attention than they had the personality to give. So I think you have to examine it yourself, because the answer is less, you know, like, should you be worried about her not liking you, and more, should you be worried about whether or not you want to live with that?
That's a good answer.
Thanks. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think generally speaking, that's kind of how it goes. Definitely, some people require different levels of attention. I know I'm generally the type of person who needs a lot of attention and affection. Like I'm fairly high maintenance, I would call myself. But not everyone is. The only reason I hold back a little bit is here it says for the first few months everything were great, but now he's more into it than she is. So it sounds like once upon a time things were different, where they were both needed a lot of together time, and now one of them needs less together in time.
Mm-hmm.
Just that slight change makes me pause a moment and think, well, maybe she is less interested currently.
Could be.
Yeah.
I mean, I just always assume that relationships start out on a really high, like, we want to be together all the time point, and then, you know, that kind of settles a little bit, and then people go back to kind of their daily routines. So it could be, yeah, maybe she isn't as into it. It could also be that she just kind of got used to it, you know?
That's true. Definitely.
But that shouldn't be like what you base wanting to be in the relationship on, because, you know, whether she's really into it or not, you have to decide whether like you like to be treated that way, you know?
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. All right, I think we've actually already finished that one. Let's move on to the next. Ooh, that's a long question, guys. Bear with me here. Here we go. I'm just going to give you the spark notes of the situation. I was the president of a club at my university this past year. However, I was having issues with depression and ended up dropping out before the end of the year. When I did so, I essentially put all the end of year responsibilities on one of my good friends slash my vice president. I didn't really give her a reason other than I was leaving, and she would have to do everything. After that, I left the university and we stopped talking. Fast forward to now, I feel stable and have come back to the university. I was not sure if she would still want to be friends or not, so I didn't tell her or anyone else I was coming back. However, she texted me asking me if I'd come back because she thought she saw me a couple days ago. I told her yes, and she asked me a couple of questions about where I was living and stuff. I replied and essentially shot back the same questions she asked me because I didn't know what to say. It seems like she was fine with me being back, but when I asked her if she wanted to talk about it at the end of last year quickly, I was busy. She never texted me back. I'm curious if you think we still have the potential to be friends or not. I can definitely see why she would be angry, but I don't know why she would text me in the first place. Is she mad? I don't know. It's a mouthful.
Hmm. Hmm.
I don't know. I mean, you bailed, you left her with all the year end responsibilities. She texts you, says, "Hey, are you back in school?" And you're like, "Yeah." I think you don't have enough information here. I think you are working with a few texts and a lot of background information, and you're trying to make conclusions that you don't have enough data for. I think you
Yeah.
should try and be friends, and then if she says, "No, I don't want to be friends," then you say, "Okay, I am sorry," and you walk away.
Neil, that's so simple.
I
It's
know.
diabolical.
It's it's so stupid it might just work.
Those kind of questions are always hard because it's like what you don't want to hear is, well, you need to talk to her and find out whether she's mad, because what you're trying to do is gauge the situation to see if it's going to hurt to ask her that.
Right.
And the possibility is like you ask her like, "Hey, are you mad? Can we be friends?" And she's like, "Yeah, I am mad and we can't be friends." Okay, then you are where you kind of thought you were.
Hmm.
Or you ask her that and she's like, "Yeah, actually I'm not that mad," or "It was kind of sucky, but I want to talk about it," or like, "No, I've totally forgot about it and it's not a big deal and yeah, we can be friends." So your options are pretty easily weighable in terms of pros and cons, I think,
Hmm.
of just kind of reaching out and talking to her.
Yeah. You could also, say, "Hey, do you want to go get lunch?" Or if you're at the same school, just walk up to her and be like, "Hey, how's it going?" And then ask like point blank in the conversation somewhere, "Are you upset with me?" And then she will give you an answer. And if
Hmm.
she gives you a sketchy answer, you can read facial features and whatnot to get a better idea. But get more
But
information.
my first impulse is if she texted you, she probably wants to talk to you on some level.
Hmm.
Because I'm trying to think if I saw someone on campus and I had some sort of beef with them, I could be texting them like worst case paranoid scenario. It could be she's like, "This jerk left me with all this stuff and then he was here all along and I had to do it myself and he was just hiding." Like maybe that could be the worst case scenario, but more likely it seems like she thinks, "Oh, that guy was my good friend. Why isn't he talking to me? Why didn't I know he was here?" You know.
She's probably hurt and confused.
Yeah.
You have some fixing to do, buddy. Stop wondering if she's mad at you and start getting your shit together and go out and make an apology, which you should probably do. If you
And
left
just
her with
don't
all the year-end responsibilities without telling her that you were going to do that ahead of time, it's kind of a dick move.
yeah. And just don't be afraid to let someone be mad at you too. Like, if somebody is mad at you and you want to apologize, they're going to be mad at you for a while and, soak that in and let it happen and then move on from there.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's jump on to the next one. My question is for Anna. What is it like to be married to someone that is in the same business as you? And do you ever watch roleplay stream and question what Jeff is doing after the show?
I'll take the easy part first. I do watch role play once in a while. Not all the time because I just don't have enough hours in the day to watch the whole show every single time. But usually what ends up happening is I work on something and then I hear Vincent's side of everything. So then I'll go to Jeff and be like, "Okay, what happened? Who fell out of the sky?" Those kinds of
Hmm.
things. But yeah, I really enjoy role play, so I always ask him for the rundown if I miss the show. And then I try to watch most of the things he does, especially if they're non-repetitive. Like, to be completely honest, I don't watch Inside the Game because I just don't usually have time. Don't tell them. But yeah, I like to keep in touch with what he does. It's fun to watch him like host a tournament or things like that, I always have my iPad up and I'm like, hey, look, it's my husband, you know. But what is it like to be married to someone in the same business? It's cool in some ways and really hard and annoying in other ways, in that both of us, you know, usually the situation is like you go to work, you come home, both of you talk about your jobs, and, you know, it's different and exciting and you have things to share with each other, and then you go about your life and everything. But for us, it's like we go to work all day, we come home and talk about the same work that we were both doing for the same company together. So it feels like you kind of never stop working. And especially when your work is also kind of your play, like we both really like to play video games and we're both on our computers all the time. So it's like you come home and then what do you know, you sit down at your computer again. And so you're still in the same virtual space that you were when you were at work. And so the long and short of it is it can get kind of, I have these little random flare ups of like, don't talk about work to me, you know, like be laying down at night and he'll be like, oh, you know, I'm so excited for such and such tournament, or what do you think about this player? And I'm just like, don't talk to me about that right now. But then I can't really think of anything else to talk about at that moment, you know, because that's what we talk about.
Right, right.
So it's challenging, but I guess the overall fix that I've learned to maintain is like just to be really strict about maintaining balance in your life and forcing yourself to do things that you don't necessarily feel like you want to do that you know will be beneficial. Like every weekend we go out for 4 hours to a park and we walk our dogs around, you know, like do things that are not related to our job, because otherwise we can just get completely swallowed up in our work. And I like him better as a husband than as a coworker, you know?
That's a good thing. If you didn't,
Yeah.
it would be weird.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's move on.
Okay.
This is nice simple question. Nice simple question. I'm in high school and I like one of my friends. I don't know how she feels about me. What do I do?
Oh, aw, high school. I liked high school. And it's funny to look back on this question now and be like, oh, that was so fun when you didn't know if someone liked you and you had to like worry and you wrote notes to your friends about it. And like, so enjoy. That's my first answer. Enjoy that feeling and that culture and that time in your life.
Enjoy the struggle.
Yeah. You'll look back on it and smile and say, aw. I hope that's not demeaning.
It's close. It's fine. It's fine.
I'm sorry. Do you want to go first with this one? I keep talking a lot.
Yeah, let me. You don't know. Well, I didn't have this problem in high school because I had no girls that I was interested in that were anywhere nearly interested in me. So I didn't have this issue. But in retrospect, what do you do if a girl likes you? Find an excuse to talk to her. If she's in one of your classes, be like, hey, did you do this on the homework? Or did you get this? Or hey, can you help me study for that? Or can I help you study for this? Like, find some sort of like school related way of interacting with her and use that as a pretense. And if she likes you even a little bit, she'll absolutely welcome the pretense. If she's not interested in you, she'll be like, wait, why are you talking to me about homework? I don't care. And then you're like, okay, she's not into me. But if she's a little bit into you, it's high school, she's like, oh my God, he's talking to me. And then you'll have an in, and then you can just move from there. So just
That's a really good point.
just do something easy and like with an easy pretense of school being there. And if she's interested, she'll accept it, and then you can keep doing something with a little less pretense, a little less pretense, and a little less pretense until you hit that point where she either goes for it or doesn't go for it.
Yeah, and I think the important thing that I almost missed about this question first is that it's already one of your friends. So that might be the tough part, is like, okay, you don't want it to get in the way of your friendship. You don't want it to be weird if you like her and she doesn't necessarily return the feelings. So I think Neil's advice is really good. You know, do something that friends would normally do together and do more and more of those things together. And it should become pretty obvious. Like you said, if she doesn't want to hang out with just you, she'll come up with excuses.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. All right. I think we've nailed that one on the head.
Boom.
Doom. Done. We're actually going through this faster than I thought we were.
That's because we're so informed about love.
You know what? We really are. We just have our shit down. It's perfect. Okay. When girls ask me what I enjoy doing, should I tell them the truth and reveal my award-winning geekiness, or tell them what they want to hear, and wait until something more solid is there before bringing out some of the truth bombs?
Are there awards you can win for geekiness? Have I been missing out on this?
I should have been winning these awards my whole life. What the hell?
Let's get, where's the academy? Where's the board that I submit my application to? Maybe they're actually like a, some sort of super science fair winner or something.
Oh yeah, it's possible. It's
That's pretty
possible.
geeky.
Yeah.
You want to go?
Yeah. I say reveal the award-winning geekiness. Don't hide who you are. Go for it. And if you fail and crash and burn miserably, suck it up and try it again next time. But don't hide who you are. Be true to yourself. Blah blah blah. All those other after-school specials. They're all right. Don't lie. Don't cheat. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with others. It's better in the long run.
Well, the extremely logical way to look at it is, do you want to be with somebody who wouldn't accept you for your award-winning geekiness? I don't know anyone who's like that, but if you are, sure, maybe hide it. But I can't think of anyone I know that's like, I really like to play video games. I'm totally into science. I like to talk about physics at the dinner table, and I want to be with somebody who thinks that's lame. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
so, and I mean, from experience, I I'm married to a pro gamer, so somebody who, even since I met him in college, played hours and hours of video games per day, and he thought he had to hide that from me, and I think our relationship didn't really pick up until he wasn't hiding that from me anymore, because I thought it was super duper cool, and that's what kind of made us connect, because before that we were friends, like we enjoyed hanging out, but we didn't really connect because there has to be a certain appreciation for each other's passions, and we kind of found that shared passion there. So,
Yeah. Yeah. So don't hide things, buddy. Just go for it. And if they don't like you, they're not worth it.
then you don't like them.
Okay. Hi, Neil and Anna. My question for the two of you, if applicable, is how did you know when you were truly in love with someone? And then we'll get to the second part of this question after we get the first one. Anna, you want to start with this?
Well, it was funny because Neil mentioned this question earlier, and I told him how much I hate this question, because I would always ask people that, like, how did you know you were truly in love? And they'd always be like, you just know. You just know. And I was like, that's not the answer to my question. I asked, how do you know? And you told me I would just know. Like, that's not an answer. I tend to be a really indecisive, like dissecting my thoughts kind of person. So that answer never really worked for me. On some level, of course, it is like you feel love. You can feel it in you. You can see that your actions reflect it. You want to be around that person all the time. They're one of the most important things in your life. You feel like you have a connection with them that you don't have with other people. But even for me, even when those things were present, a lot of times I'd be like, okay, but is that the love, like the one true love? And for me, what that actually came down to in terms of deciding who I loved enough to marry, not just am I in love with this person? Because I think maybe you just know that, like, you can be in love with people. But I was in love with people that I didn't end up staying with or marrying. So the person that I ended up deciding was my one true love was a little bit of a conscious thing for me, at least. And I don't know if that's weird because I'm just kind of a nerd and a weirdo and too logical, but it was like, okay, yeah, I know that I've never connected with anybody else on this level before. I know that I want to partner with this person for the rest of my life. Like I see my future, and I see that I think it will be better if we do it together. And, of course, I have these feelings on the emotional side. I'm sounding like kind of a stone cold scientist here. But, but for me, it was a certain level of commitment, because I think that's kind of what's missing from a lot of relationships, and especially marriages these days, is people think that if I love someone, then I should be with them, or then I should marry them. And what happens is that happy birds tweeting love feeling fluctuates throughout life. And, that's where I think a lot of marriages fail, because people haven't taken the time to say, like, I want to be with this person through good times and bad, and I know there will be valleys and there will be mountains, and I want to face those all with that person. And so for me, that's the definition of love, is like, I want to go through the bad times and the good times with that person because I trust them to be my partner.
That's a good answer.
Thanks.
So
How about you?
I have a much more a much darker measure for how I determine whether or not how strongly I feel about someone. Um, 'Cause I also like the somewhat of a logical approach because emotions are messy and hard to gauge
It's
sometimes.
hard to understand. I just
Yeah,
how do you quantify it?
just all these emotions flying around, and so my way of quantifying it, or at least this is how I used to do it. I have since stopped this now that I no longer need this metric anymore. But I would I would take a look at how much this person means to me in like terms of human lives. Like if I were offered the choice between killing the person I'm dating or like one random person that would never exist, like if I had to choose between the life of my significant other or like the life of a
Oh
random,
wow.
okay, I'd pick my significant other. Okay, my significant other versus five random people I've never seen in the world before. Okay, how do I pick five, my significant other? Cool. And then I just like see how far. Like okay, 100,000 people that I've never met and will never see ever again, or this person. And then yeah, I kind of like use that to gauge how much I actually care about them. Like, would I care enough about this person to like see the downfall of thousands of other people? Yeah, okay, I like them a lot. And so it's kind of a terrible, terrible approach,
That's amazing.
but that's kind of how I've always like gauged my friendships and my significant other relationships. It's like, oh, my friend Jackson, yeah, he's super important to me. I'd totally kill 30 people for him. Totally. Yeah, no problem.
You have like a, I picture like a chart on Neil's wall where it's like a little stick figure that says like Rachel, and then it has like 30 little stick figures next to it, and then it's like Joe, and it has one little stick figure next to it. And he's like, no, not Joe.
Nope,
Nope.
nope. Yeah, I know. It's a terrible, terrible way of measuring things, but that kind of always helped me keep a perspective like, how much would I really do for this person? Yeah, okay, I would do anything for that
That's
person.
such a gamer approach to that.
I
Like,
guess.
it's very like, how many minerals is this worth? Would I spend these resources in order to keep this resource? Like,
Yeah. But that, for me, that's how you know what's love when you would actually be happy, with the deaths of thousands of people in exchange for the person that you love. Because
I guess so.
I mean, and if you had to choose between Jeff dying right now or 1,000 people that you have no idea who they are somewhere across the world dying, like honestly, would you pick 1,000 random people's lives who you'll never see over Jeff's? I don't think so.
It's a weird question though, because then it's like I know that Jeff wouldn't be okay with me sacrificing those people's lives for
Yeah, but
his
he'll
one
he'll never
life.
know. It's fine. This is
I don't know. I don't
really
know.
maybe I'm just a terrible, terrible human being.
Well, I mean, it makes sense. Like I understand it
Mhm.
conceptually, but I don't know if I can get there fast enough conceptually
Fair
to
enough.
agree with you. I don't know, and I think it's also worth mentioning because this is a big question. We could talk about this the entire time, so I
Hmm.
won't force us to. But it's worth mentioning that there's a difference between am I in love with this person and like is this the one? You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
because I think that am I in love with this person? The answer is something more like when they walk into the room, you feel like there's nowhere else in the world you need to be, or like everything suddenly looks brighter when they're there, or they make you feel like a better version of yourself when you're around them. You know, like I think there's really knowable things to know if you're in love with somebody. But I was taking it more of like, how
Yeah.
do you know someone's the one?
Yeah. For how do you know if someone's the one? I would have to go back to what you were saying in that you can't ever see yourself without this person. You think your life will be better with them, and you think you'll make their life better. They fill a gap that you have somewhere in your life, and you fill a gap that they have somewhere. You know, you complement each other, not in like verbal compliment, but in just like complementary as opposed to damn it, like complementary fractions or angles. Like you work well together in that regard. So I that's how I would determine
And you
the
would
one.
commit genocide to
I
keep
would
them
commit
by
mass
your
genocide to keep
side.
them alive.
Yes.
Yes. Well, hold on, not genocide. Genocide's a different level. Thousands of random
Mass
people, yeah.
homicide. Okay.
Homicide, mass homicide. Yes, yes. I wouldn't want to, destroy a specific subgroup of people. For
Well, okay,
the,
if you were willing to commit genocide, then would that be a whole nother step beyond like the mass homicide?
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, but genocide. You're crossing an ugly boundary at genocide. One that I
Is
don't
it
know if I want to go
possible for a
for.
human to love another human enough to kill all the other humans on the earth? Is that as far as your scale goes, or like where's
No, I
the
think at
top
that
out?
point you've become just a terrible human being. Like
So
you
you
could
can't
love
really
someone
love
that much, but then
anyone.
there's something wrong with you because you need to clearly weigh that against like the rest of the existence. You know, you
So
you
there's
have
like a point in the scale where it redlines and you're like, you are insane. You may not love anyone.
yes, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
There's definitely like a, you know, you really like this person. Okay, you're just a psycho. We need to get rid of
Yeah.
you. You should not be here. So
Meh, meh, meh.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
That scale is amazing.
I know. I know. All right. Let's wrap up the second part of this
Okay.
question.
Oh
My
yeah, what was the rest?
my parents are recently split up, and I was wondering if it is wrong that I would rather live with one than the other.
Hmm. This is the second part of that last question? Or
Yes.
this is a new Oh, I didn't know there was a second part.
Yeah. They're fairly
So
different.
are we talking about parents love? Like loving your parents?
No, I think the
Oh,
first one
okay.
was something else. Yeah.
So is it wrong to want to live with one over the other?
Yeah. I don't think it's necessarily wrong. You can like your parents different amounts. That can happen. Um,
Yeah. I mean, the honest truth is that your parents are just human. And I would say that you can love your parents both the same amount and still want to live with one parent over the other. The challenge to you then is just making that clear to your parents that like it's not that I love dad more than you, mom. It's just that, like I feel like I want to live there.
yeah. Sometimes you get along with one parent more than the other, or sometimes you just there's a lot of factors at play there.
And
I
that's
don't.
really rough on you because you shouldn't have to make excuses for whatever you feel like you have to do to survive your parents splitting.
Yeah.
Because your parents splitting is going to be really hard on you, and you have to do whatever you can to take care of yourself.
Yeah. That's a rough spot, but don't worry about it. If you want to live with one over the other, you're not a bad person. If I had to pick between living with one of my parents or the other, I know exactly which one I would pick, like off the top of my head. So don't worry about it. You're not a bad person for that. Maybe for other things. I don't know.
We couldn't know.
Couldn't know. All right. We're at the halfway point. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll come back with the second part of Love Bites. See you guys in a few minutes. Hey everybody, we are back with part two of Love Bites. If you guys have any questions, feel free to email me at koibu@regalgoblins.com or PM me on Twitch and we'll try and get to them here. So, uh, moving on to the next question. Neil, I had a girlfriend about a year ago and was with her for 4 to 6 months. Then we broke up because she cheated on me. Now, this year at school, I see her all the time in the hallway at lunch, and we have these awkward eye contacts all the time. Now, I hang out with her friends she introduced me to when we were dating all the time at school, and she avoided talking to them when I'm talking to them. Now, I've started to think about our old time together, and I'm starting to miss that, and now she has become more attractive to me. How could I ask her out or even hang out with her without that weird state of we broke up and have never talked since feeling? Interesting. So you dated, broke up because she cheated on you, you're friends with her friends, you haven't talked since then, and now a year later, you are into her again and you want to get back together with her.
The things that stick out to me in this is you broke up for something really specific, and a really big deal. And then you didn't talk for a long time. And you still haven't really talked. But you see that person and it brings back all the memories of the good times. And so now you're like, maybe I want to try again. Which is okay. Like, trying again is worth doing. People grow. They make really big mistakes and then they learn from them and then they become better people. And maybe, maybe you guys have grown to the point where it would be a good idea to try again. Jeff and I took a really long break, like almost a year, where we barely talked and then we got back together. But the big but is over the course of not talking to somebody for a long time after something really big and bad happened and you let it go, it will just 100%, your brain will find the images that show you the good times if you're looking for them. If you're like, oh, was that actually so bad? Or like, weren't there some good times? It will find all of the good times and it'll make you just long for them and yearn for them. And the more you don't talk to that person and the more you just look at them from afar, it's so easy to idealize them and be like, oh, all of the good things about them are definitely what they're personifying now. And it would be all good times if we tried again. So I guess I would just really caution you, like, it's not necessarily a bad idea to try and rekindle something, but just proceed with caution and know that your brain is going to give you an extreme bias toward remembering the good times. Do you think so, Neil?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. You always look at the past through, what is it, rose tinted glasses? Is that how it
Mm-hmm.
goes? And it's really easy to forget all of the horrible, horrible things with relationships. Like, I have some exes that, there were terrible things that happened, and I was miserable and depressed for like years with these people. But now when I look back, I don't really kind of remember that, and I have to force myself to be like, no, 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 no. Remember, you were unhappy and miserable through that entire
Mm-hmm.
period of time. That was an awful, awful period in your life. Why are you even thinking about them fondly in any way? They were bad. So I would say be really, really careful with this. Like, it's okay to get back together with someone. I did it. My current girlfriend and I broke up for a short period of time, like almost a year. But I just be careful. You can make mistakes here, especially if it's something like she cheated on you. Well, that's definitely like you might want to double check that. I know that wasn't. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, let's say she cheated on you once. She still, she grew from it. She apologized. You think you think you've both grown up since then and you want to give it another try. I guess the crux of this question is like, how do I approach that? Um, I would say don't rush it. Because when Jeff and I started talking again and started getting back together, it wasn't it wasn't even on the table. Like, it would have been completely awkward and inappropriate to be like, hey, let's get together again. So it was more of a like, let me catch up with your life. Let me become involved in a relationship with you as a friend again. Let me like remember what it's like to hang out with you. And if you're meant to be together, then things just naturally, like, that was one of the things in my life where I did just know. Like, I got to a point where I was like, okay, we're going to get back together. I can feel this and it feels right now.
Hmm.
And but that took a few months because we had to repair a lot of damage caused by time and lack of
Yeah,
communication.
yeah. It takes a lot. It feels like you and I are talking about the exact same thing because when I got back together with Lauren, it was very much a like, we'd been apart for a while, and I was like, well, I know I kind of want to get back together with her, and we like, because I over the period of time, things didn't really change. We'd see each other very, very briefly for something maybe, and there would still be kind of something there. So we slowly started doing things together, like, oh hey, I happened to see you here, or hey, why don't we like, you know chat for a moment here or there, or like let's get do something with some mutual friends here, and then slowly built into hanging out until we could like hang out together, until we could go out and do something semi-romantic together, but not really, and until we could actually go do something that was romantic, but not actually be romantic. While it's like, oh, we're gonna go like look at the San Francisco city lights, from Treasure Island, and it's really pretty, but we're just gonna sit separately while we do it, and we'll have a conversation. It'll be nice. We'll have a picnic, and that's nothing, but it's kind of romantic. And then you slowly build into something bigger. So take your time, go slowly. If you jump back into it, it's not. It's everything's going to crash and burn again. Be patient.
You have all the time in the world,
Tons of time. Don't worry about it. You'll be fine.
probably.
Probably. Okay. Let's move on to the next one. Scenario: guy in relationship with girl for 3 years. Guy goes to military and only comes home twice a year. Everything is great despite long distance relationship. 2 years later, guy decides to propose. Girl knows it's coming and decides to run away to another country because she was admittedly scared that the relationship ends there without so much as a goodbye. Girl returns several years later and both parties are still good friends. Girl going to movies, etc. Oh, still going to movies, etc. regularly and generally socializing. Many years pass, and the male party is considering trying to rekindle. Advisable considering the history. Also, guy is unaware of how to approach the subject.
This this is another one of those situations. Like a lot of these questions are just like, "Hey, what's this person thinking, Anna and Neil, with this limited information?" So like,
Yeah.
I actually have no idea what's going on in her head, but I could see how she might feel like I screwed it up. I don't deserve to try again. I was scared and I walked away. So that's it. I'm SOL. And maybe again I'm hypothesizing, maybe that being scared was rooted in not feeling ready for a proposal or a commitment of that magnitude and just being younger and not being ready for that. So maybe as time has passed, maybe she'd be more likely to accept that kind of relationship, and maybe not even that, but just like maybe she wasn't ready for that big of a commitment, but maybe she's still ready to rekindle into a relationship. So that's all completely guessing.
Yeah.
but but I don't see any reason why, if you still have feelings for her, that it would not be advisable. Like someone being scared and running away to a different country is sucky and kind of cowardly, but we're all young and we all get scared and we all make decisions based on what we feel like is right at the time, and that doesn't mean that we're bad people or not fit to be in relationships with.
Hmm.
What do you think?
I think it's worth doing, um, because you can try to go back into it and rekindle, and she's going to know that. Well, she knows that you tried to propose, so she won't bother getting into. Like, she will avoid the relationship unless she is actually interested in it and thinks that maybe potentially it could go the distance, but she just needs like a little bit of time to herself. Because once you put marriage on the table, you can't ever really take it off the table. Like now that is something that's going to be like, a warning bell. Even if it's like off to the side and kind of hidden, it's still going to be like that warning bell that's flashing all the time. So I would say you can try, but you're going to find out right away whether or not she's interested. I don't think there's a problem trying again. You tried to propose, she ran, but you still like her, and you're still friends and hanging out and doing all these other things. Try it. But if she resists, know that it's not going to happen. Like, be willing to drop it, but I would say try and pursue it. You know,
And it sounds like you're already kind of on that path if you're, going to movies together and hanging out and socializing. there's not a huge barrier between that and like trying to go on a couple dates. So if you're
Hmm.
unsure how to approach the subject, I would say just like if you hang out in groups, maybe try to do something together alone. Not something romantic or datey, but just like try to do something alone and see how that goes. And then kind of similar to what we were just talking about with the last question, give it time to see if it can pick up speed on its own.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's bump into the next one. Okay, this one's a doozy here. So, about a year and a half ago, I found out that my girlfriend was cheating on me. I decided to forgive her because she was pregnant with our daughter. Now, all was fine and dandy until about a week ago when I found out that she was sexting a guy from another city. I talked to her about it and she said that she loves me, but that I don't give her enough attention and that I'm always sitting by the computer when I have free time instead of spending time with her. We decided that we were going to try again and give each other more attention and stuff. But I don't know if I really want to. She caused me a lot of heartache as it is already, so I don't know if it's worth continuing. But I love her and stuff, and she's the mother of my daughter. You know how that weighs a lot too. Um,
That is a doozy.
okay. So I discussed this with Lauren, my girlfriend, for a while, and we talked about this because this is a big one. And what I came up with and what she agreed with was that you now have a daughter. That is your daughter overrides everything else in your relationship. Your daughter is now the most important thing in your relationship and in your life. So let's let's not look at what you want and let's look at what's good for your child.
Mm.
And ultimately, you are the decider of what you think is best for your child's relationship. But do you think that it will be a more stable relationship if you and your girlfriend completely split and try and just like be friends and be good parents together, or do you think it's better for your child's? Do you think it's a more stable relationship for your child if you guys get together and are still kind of maybe it's not working out and you're trying to make it work? Like what makes the lifestyle better for your child, because that's the most important thing.
That makes a lot of sense. Anything else is kind of irrelevant because you're right. The well being of your daughter and the emotional health of her childhood is the most important thing.
Hmm. Yeah.
So, without knowing what it's like between you guys at home, then we can't really answer that question,
Yeah.
I guess.
I mean,
And I guess anything else we'd comment on about, like, whether or not you should want to, or whether or not it's possible to be with somebody when trust is breached, or whether you should go to counseling together, or any of those things, it's kind of irrelevant,
yeah.
I guess. My
Yeah.
impulse is always to tell you, like, if you can, try to stay together, but I don't know.
Yeah. I I would generally say now, of course, I don't know the situation very well at all. I just have this brief intro. I could be completely off base here, and so if I am, don't take clearly ignore what I say and forgive me for being off base. But if I had to say something, like if I had to pick a side, I would say it's probably more stable if you guys split and just stay like friends and parents. Because if you do end up getting in like a back and forth situation where you're together and you're not together and you're together and you're not together, that can really fuck with a kid's head. And I would say, screw your happiness. You can go be a parent alone and then find someone along the way. But, you know, I would generally say that it's better to be stable and separate than unstable and together. Generally. But of course, your situation I don't know enough about to really make a solid remark on. But remember, kids come first, then you.
To play devil's advocate too, I mean, if both of you are still looking for love at the same time as trying to be a parent to your kid, that can also be hard for a
Oh
kid to have
yeah,
multiple, like, daddy's girlfriend and mommy's boyfriend that is like kind of my daddy and mommy sometimes for maybe 5 years and then leaves. That can be really
absolutely.
hard as well.
Yeah,
So,
no, I completely agree with that.
and those are all questions that like we are completely unqualified to answer,
Hmm.
but yeah, that's why I would say that's why my impulse, like I totally get your impulse, Neil. Like that makes total sense to me. I understand where you're coming from. My gut instinct is to say do everything you can to become stable, loving, functional parents together.
Hmm.
Just because that's how my experience has seen it happen.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's really hard. It's a really hard call to make.
Hmm.
But remember, like whatever else you're thinking about, the kid comes first. All right, you are now responsible for another human life, and however that child turns out to be, it's your fault if she screws up, and it's your fault if things go bad. So do a good job, damn it. Good. I'm sure you'll do a good job. You watch my stream. You must be a good human being.
You take our advice, so.
Yeah. All right. Next question. Been friends with the girl for over 2 years now at university. In love with her for a while. In third year now, living in the same house with her. Life is hard. What do I do? I want to ask her out, but I don't want to ruin our friendship and make things super awkward. Background info. We spoke about it before, and she told me that she likes me in that way, but it got postponed due to her personal life. I've spoken to her again about it, and it got postponed to me being drunk and has never come up again.
Oopsies.
Well, she says she likes you. You're living together now, which is probably not the best time to start dating. Um, I don't know, Anna. What do you think?
Hmm. Third year at university, roommates. You have verbal confirmation that you like each other. It's weird because though, like the way a relationship should have room, right? So like
Mm-hmm.
living with your significant other before you start dating your significant other makes things really complicated. Which doesn't mean it shouldn't happen, but it's just how I'm trying to think how I would handle that.
Well, let's look at the
Because it
worst case scenario here. Like if you start dating after you're living together and you date for a while, things go really really well, and then all of a sudden shit hits the fan and falls apart. Now you're stuck living with this significant other. Now, is there a way to get out? Do you think you could move somewhere else and have someone else move in? If so, well then it's possible. It might be worth going after. Like in the worst case scenario, if you would be stuck no matter what living with this person after you broke up, then that's going to define your third year at university and will make for a great and hilarious story later in life, which might be worth it in and of itself, but is that really what you want right now? Like, yeah, go ahead.
I'm kind of looking at it another way too. That's like if you really like this person, like you're really into them. I'm assuming that this is somebody that you're really into. Then it's possible that the fact that you live together could kind of choke out your relationship because like when you're first dating somebody you need that kind of back and forth like this is my place and this is your place and then we go together and do things and then we have time to be with just our friends and then it's not constant like I'm not worried about your dirty dishes and I'm not worried that you're going to be right around the corner no matter what I do and I don't have space to talk to my friends about so like, I would worry that just like it could potentially make the beginning stages and the fun like flirty stages of your relationship harder and like almost skip them. And so I would say think about maybe whether it's worth it to you to continue with kind of the way things are in this kind of ambiguous friendship flirtiness until maybe next year when you're maybe not living together.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, that kind of depends on how much you care for this person or how willing you are to wait or whether you think it will keep or any of those things. But that would be what I would worry about because living together is really hard when you're in a relationship specifically, I think.
Yeah, I would say this is generally a no. Generally speaking, I would not do this. However, if you don't mind dating this person and then having everything crash and burn, that's a valuable experience in and of itself. Like heartbreak is good to have because it teaches you for later in life. So I'm gen- generally speaking, I will say go for it rather than don't go for it. But this is a pretty borderline case. I think that I don't want to tell you not to go for the girl that you like, but damn it, you picked the wrong time to like this girl.
Yeah, and I guess like the TLDR for me is honest open communication if you do decide that you maybe want to go for it like you got to be ready to say, I do like this, I don't like this, get out of my space. If she says get out of my space, you have to be okay with that. Like, you would have to be the most open, honest communicator ever to make that work. So, and I mean, maybe if you decide you don't want to, too, be like, hey, I really like you, but I think it's weird that we live together. Like, just so you know, like maybe next year. I don't know. That's always been my tactic, and I guess it's worked out for me.
Hmm. Been liking each other for 2 years now, and you haven't gone done it yet. Jesus, man, just should have done it 2 years ago. Um, I guess that's is all. I got nothing else on this. Do you got anything? Anything more?
Uh, I guess the last thing too, though, is like the reason I say keep thinking about how much you care about this person is that you don't want to look back and regret. If she ends up with someone else next year and you're like, dang it, like I really should have said something or should have made a move. Love's always complicated. Relationships are always, you know, life is hard and it gets in the way. So if you really, really dig this person and you feel like life would be remiss if you never went for it, then yeah, screw all the weird like what are those called? The things that happen around you, situation. Yeah, whatever.
Coincidences?
No, not coincidences. Circumstances. That's the word.
Circumstances.
Screw all the weird circumstances and see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next one. Where'd it go? Here we go. Not really a question, but oh god, I just asked one of my friends out, kind of freaking out a little. Oh
Good
wait, this
job.
is from the guy who asked something earlier. Hold on. What did he ask earlier?
Was it the high school one?
I'm trying to find out. Yes, this is the high school one.
Oh, good job.
Well, come back, come back. Let us know how it goes, okay? I
Yeah.
love follow up on this, and we so rarely get any follow up. So, you've asked your friend out. Tell me how it goes. I want to know, okay?
Yeah.
We all want to know.
Yeah. You have to pass it on to me, Neil, once you find out.
I will. Okay, I've been in a relationship for 2 years with a woman I can see myself marrying one day. The only real issue is that is that two of my closest friends are my ex-girlfriends.
Ooh.
This was years before her time. Since then, we've moved on, are all extremely good friends. They are, in fact, my friends as well. My girlfriend tolerates them, but resents me for being their friend. Do I end the friendship with all I've moved on, and since I made these decisions before my current girlfriend?
I
Um,
have examples of the affirmative and the negative of this question in my life. Do you?
I have a little of both. A little of both. Why don't you start?
One of, if not my absolute best friend through high school and most of college was male. And we were never together, but we were just absolute best friends. So it was very like we were very, very close, like intimately close. And when he got married, we thought that we could still be best friends. And I knew that like that meant I had to kind of take a step back because there's a certain line of appropriateness when you're the opposite sex from your best friend and they get married. I think, but I don't think that she ever really felt comfortable with me being his best friend, and our friendship basically just fizzled out because when even if he wanted to be my best friend still or even my friend still, if your spouse is constantly giving you this like I hate it when you hang out with or talk about this person, it just kind of chokes it out. So I don't know if that's advice for you so much as just like it might just happen. Like just the knowledge that it may just naturally be the case that if your spouse isn't comfortable with your friends, like this doesn't mean that your spouse is a bad person or that your friends aren't good friends or that you aren't a good friend. It just means that like it may become less important over time for you to maintain communication with those people as you want to communicate with your spouse. So I'm sad that we're not as close as we were, but I don't blame my friend for that. I may have a little resentment for his wife not being able to deal with me being his friend, but I don't hold that against her as a person. It's just like selfishly, I wish that it wasn't the case. And then on the flip side, I also have exes who have been my really good friends and my husband is really good friends with them, and we're all chill. So I think it depends on like how your spouse feels around them. Maybe I don't know. I could talk more, but you go, Neil. We can trade
I
off.
I've been on the side of like, oh, my girlfriend's like first boyfriend who she's done like he was her first everything. Now they're still good friends and now she and I are dating, but they hang out and do stuff from time to time.
Mm.
Lovely. I kind of wish he was dead. I hate this guy. Like, not that there's anything there. He's absolutely like not a threat to the relationship, but it's just kind of it still irks me that they're still so close. I've
Yeah,
had that happen once, happen before, and I've also been on the like, whoa, why are you still hanging out with this person? No, you can't go do that with that person. Didn't you two used to? But no, 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 that's not acceptable. So I've been on both sides of this before, and in general, it's a shitty situation, and I think it varies from person to person, relationship to relationship. But I think if you can make, I think the best thing to do is to encourage your significant other to be friends with your exes, and then kind of like step back and like give them some space to like maybe bond together. And then once they
yeah,
bonded, then you can really dive back in. But try and foster
that's
their
good advice.
relationship is what I would try and do. And if that fails, then you have to make a judgment call over who you value more. If it's like you're gonna marry this girl, well, then I guess your exes might, you know, this sucks, but they might be worth letting go.
Hmm.
Um, on the other hand, if you're not going to marry this person, if it's just like, or if you're not sure yet, then I wouldn't necessarily give them my friends yet. Something like that.
Yeah, and I guess it doesn't mean you have to like decide today. Like friendship is over today. Maybe give it a try. Because I don't know, it is dangerous too to be around your exes, even if you're good friends and you're completely platonic. It is just by nature like someone you've been really intimately close with is always going to be in danger of like making your spouse uncomfortable. So I guess
Yeah.
then my advice overall would be that you have to make, if you want this to survive, you have to like preemptively before the situations even arise, make very definite lines and boundaries for yourself where it's like, I don't, touch this person this way. I don't talk to this person this way. I don't share these kind of details about my relationship with this person. Anything that might make your spouse uncomfortable, you have to be the one that controls that in terms of your friendships with them. And that's the only way I would think it would survive.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think I'm done with this. You got anything else to say?
Nah.
All right. So we do have two follow-up emails. One from the guy who did ask the girl out, his high school girlfriend out. He says,
Mm-hmm.
"Great success. She said she is bad at these things, but wants to be in the same mindset. I just need to have the balls to do it, and it worked. So good
Aw,
job for you, asking your friend out
yay.
in high school. Awesome. Would love to see the success." And
Send us your
these,
prom picture.
and the follow-up from the person who is now living with someone that they've been wanting to ask out for 2 years is the issue is that I understand I waited way too long, but I feel that if I see other people whilst being in so close proximity to her, that I'll ruin my chances with her. I guess I have to keep putting myself out there until I find someone who I like more. I don't know. I wish I could read minds. Ha ha ha. Of course, reading minds would be nice, but you know what?
Open communication is almost as good as reading minds
Yeah,
most of the time.
you could also have the option of being single while you live together and then asking them out after you move apart. That's legit too. You don't have to necessarily be seeing anyone.
Patience.
Okay, now we got a whole bunch of questions during the second half of the show, which we do not have time for because one shots, or not one shots, I'm sorry, role play is about to start. Role play Eberin, I don't know, whatever JP's role play is. So we're gonna have to just call one shot or Love Bites closed right now. Your questions that you sent in, we will get to in 2 weeks when we do the next episode of Love Bites. Um, Anna, anything you want to say?
Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for caring what I had to say about your personal life, everyone who sent in questions. That's really nice of you. I'm honored.
Yeah. All right. Well, with that, we're going to call Love Bites to close. And I hope all of you head over to twitch.tv/8majp for roleplay. And we'll have Anna on sometime in the future after we rotate through some more guests, if she'll have us back.
I might oblige. Heck yeah, I'll
Heck
come
yeah.
back.
All right.
And if you guys want to ask me anything, I guess if you want to communicate with me at all, you can tweet at me at Anna Prosser,
Oh, of
ANNA.
course. Yeah, any other shout outs that you have want to do, things you want to say, do talk about?
Oh, that's most of my stuff's on my Twitter. Um, watch Missclicks D&D at Missclicks without the C at the end. MISSCLIKS. Um, where Neil and I are both on. And I won't bore you with everything else, but my YouTube, my Facebook, my Twitch, everything is accessible through my website, annaprosser.com.
All right. See you guys later. Bye bye. Bye bye.
Bye.